All right, this is Algebra 2, Lesson 1, 2, and we're going to talk about evaluating and simplifying expressions. So the essential question for today is what steps should I take when evaluating and simplifying algebraic expressions? So you should be able to answer that question by the end of the lesson today. Now, first of all, I want to remind you that you always have to follow the order of operations, or PEMDAS, if you guys remember that, which stands for parentheses, exponents, then multiplication and division. So, and those you go from left to right. So, if the division comes first, that's okay. You just read it from left to right, and that's how you work it out. Same with addition and subtraction. You go from left to right. So whenever we're working anything out, parentheses always comes first, and then exponents, and then you can do these other things from left to right. So let me change colors here. All right, let's go ahead and practice using PEMDAS. So in this, we want to follow PEMDAS, so we look for parentheses. And we have parentheses here, so we're going to work that out. So 5 minus 3 would be 2. And then we're going to do exponents. So 7 squared would be 49. And we'll keep our multiplication symbol in there. And then next comes multiplication or division. So we need to do this one here. So 49 times 2, which would be 98. And then we have 1 plus 98, which comes out to be 99. And feel free as we're going through these practice ones, if you want to pause the video and then go ahead and work it out first, and then check your answer, that is more than okay. Okay, let's try an expression. And we're evaluating negative 4x squared minus 6x plus 11 when x equals negative 3. So what we're doing is anytime we see an x, we're going to substitute in negative 3. And whenever you substitute in a value, you always need to do that in parentheses to make sure that you get the correct answer. So we're going to have negative 4, and then we have an x. So we're going to put in parentheses negative 3 squared minus 6. And then we have another x, so we're going to put in parentheses negative 3 plus 11. So now we just need to follow PEMDAS to work this out. So we have these values in parentheses, but they're already evaluated. So then we need to move on to exponents. So we need to work out negative 3 squared. So that means we're doing negative 3 times negative 3, which comes out to be positive 9. And then minus 6 times negative 3 plus 11. Now from here we're doing multiplication or division, and we're going to go from left to right. So negative 4 times 9 would be negative 36. And then we can treat this as a negative 6 since there's a minus in front of it. So negative 6 times negative 3 would be positive 18, and then plus 11. And then we go to addition subtraction, which just goes from left to right. So negative 36 plus 18 would be negative 18, plus 11 would equal negative 7. So that would be your final answer. Okay, let's move on to some more problems. And this is pretty basic review of Algebra 1 so far, so if you feel like you've already done this before, that's probably why. Um, Now, evaluating exponents. Whenever you're evaluating exponents, you want to check to see if there's a negative sign either inside or outside the parentheses, or if there's even any parentheses at all, because that will make a big difference in how you evaluate expressions, and that's one of the most common mistakes made in this class. So this is something to pay attention to from the beginning. So for example, if I have negative 4 in the parentheses squared, then that means I'm taking negative 4 times negative 4, because that's what I'm evaluating is the thing inside the parentheses. And because negative 4 times negative 4 turns out to be positive 16, that would be different than if we got negative 16 as the answer. So that's why it's important to pay attention. Now, if it doesn't have parentheses and the negative sign is in front, we have to follow the order of operations. So we have to do the exponents first. So we're doing 4 squared, and then we're making the answer negative. So right here we have 4 squared, which is positive 16, but then we make the answer negative, so it comes out negative 16. So you can see why there's a big difference as to if it has parentheses versus if it does not have parentheses. And this is something that you especially want to pay attention to when you're entering values into your calculator, because if you just type in negative 2 squared without any parentheses, it will do 2 squared and then make the answer negative, so you'll get negative 4. But if you put in parentheses, the answer will come out positive 4. So it's a big difference. So you need to make sure you pay attention to that this year. All right. I think that's it for this page. We've got one more page to go over. Um, Combining like terms. Now this should be something that you guys have done before. Um, like terms have to have the same variable and the same exponent. So when I'm evaluating this, I can put the 5p squared with the negative 2p squared. So if I combine those together, 5p squared minus 2p squared would be 3p squared. And then I still have plus p left over. I couldn't do anything with that because it has a different exponent, so those are not like terms. So this is as far as we can simplify. Okay, so notice that those are different because they have different exponents. Let's try another one. Okay, on this one, before we can do anything, we have these parentheses here, so we have to distribute first. So we're going to take the 3 times the y and the 3 times the 2, and then we're going to distribute this negative 4. Now, anytime there's a minus sign, I always treat that as a negative 4 instead of a minus. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So if we distribute 3 times y, we get 3y. And then 3 times 2, we get positive 6. And then negative 4 times y would be negative 4y. And negative 4 times negative 7 would be positive 28. So we're going to go ahead and combine the like terms now. So we can combine the 3y and the negative 4y, and we can combine the 6 and the 28. So if we combine those, 3y minus 4y would be negative 1y. You can also just put negative y. And then 6 plus 28 would be positive 34. Or you could just have negative y plus 34. And it doesn't have to go in that order either. You could have 34 minus y if you wanted to. That would still work. So that's pretty much it. Just make sure that for your Cornell notes that you go back and you review and revise, highlight 3 to 5 main ideas to write your summary. There will be an additional video over practice homework problems from this section, so if you want to go over those, you can do that in the next video. Thank you.